We start with information new for you at 4 involving a string of burglaries in Cass County. Good afternoon, I'm Justin Betty. Police say local businesses are out more than $100,000 after a string of burglaries they've been investigating for months now. Shelby Witt has now pleaded guilty to 32 burglaries in Fargo, West Fargo, Castleton, and Horace. Police say the crime spree took place throughout November and December of last year. To help, area police officers and sheriff's deputies put together a task force to share information and eventually arrest Witt, but not before a wild chase.
Through the snow, minus 30, chases this guy not only through the snow into a yard, through a house, out the other side of the house, and into the front yard, where he's captured with assistance of other officers.
Kowalski says the state's attorney's office is also reviewing charges against other people who they believe helped Witt commit the crimes. They say more charges in this case are likely. Meanwhile, crews worked to clear a damaged van and a flipped semi on I-94 in Moorhead this morning. The call came in around 10:15. Traffic was backed up by exit 6 eastbound as emergency responders worked to free the drivers. The cause of the crash and the condition of the driver have not been released. Authorities in Polk and Grand Forks counties are searching for the person who took police on a multi-county chase and then ran away. The Polk County Sheriff's Office says it started in Grand Forks County, where police tried to stop a vehicle but had to give up the chase when the car reached Polk County in Minnesota. Police say the suspect then ditched their vehicle in Crookston. 2 canines tried to track down the suspect but were unable to follow the person. Authorities say at this time there is no threat to the public, but the investigation is ongoing. A Fargo woman accused of aggravated assault for pepper spraying people in Bismarck Walmart will serve an 18-month sentence. Prosecutors say 26-year-old Cassie Redroad was involved in a fight at the store last October before she pepper sprayed multiple people there, including 3 Walmart employees and an off-duty deputy. Redroad entered a plea agreement yesterday. The judge accepted, sentencing Redroad to 7 years behind bars. However, all but 18 months of that are suspended. She received credit for time served, and her sentence will run concurrent to another sentence she's already serving for a separate incident in Fargo. The 44-year-old man who died on Friday during a collision involving a vehicle and a Canadian National Railroad train has now been identified. This happened in War Road. Authorities say Gary Richard Lucier of War Road was in a 2001 Chevy truck. It was stopped on the railroad tracks. They don't know why. Witnesses say the railroad crossing arms were down. The train's horns were blowing at the time of the crash. Lucier was pronounced dead at the scene. Right now, that crash remains under investigation. In the weather department, it seems Mother Nature just still isn't quite done with snow this season, at least for some of us. First Alert Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson is here with your first look at the forecast. Hutch?
Yeah, sincerely, Justin, thank you. I got to tell you, I'm getting tired of reporting all of the wintry weather across the region. If it isn't the snow, it's the cold. Record-breaking cold this morning in Grand Forks. 4 degrees was your low. But check this out. Remember, we talked last night about those single digits working their way into areas with the deep snow. Look at Langdon. One above with 2 below in Can-Do. Very chilly for this time of year with all of that deep snow. Now the wind is blowing. It's from the southerly direction, and we have a warm-up taking place. Look at peak temperatures. We've pushed the freezing air up into northwestern portions of our viewing area, Rolla in towards the, well, Grafton area, where we're in the 30s. But we have 41 in Mahnomen, 45 for Baudette this hour. And how about a degree better than that out in Washkish? Those are the highs so far. Radar showing a little bit of mixed precipitation showing up near the I-94 corridor between Fargo and Alexandria. Checking cameras, not seeing anything reaching the ground yet, but at cloud level, we're picking up some precipitation-sized droplets. So don't be surprised of a spotty shower, as we told you in the forecast last evening. Temperatures will be steady in the mid and upper 30s here with cloudy skies and gusty winds from the southeast over 30 miles per hour. Likewise, Grand Forks the same. Tomorrow, rain and snow. Here's a quick snapshot. We'll explain. Central Minnesota could see sizable accumulations for some. We'll have details in your hour-by-hour forecast, Justin, in just a few moments.
All right, thanks, Hutch. Today, travelers can finally start leaving their mask at home if they like. Yesterday, a federal judge in Florida struck down the Biden administration's mask mandate for airplanes and public transit. Some passengers are elated, while others are more hesitant. Naomi Ruckham is at New York's LaGuardia Airport with details.
Travelers at LaGuardia Airport had mixed reactions Tuesday to the end of the mask mandate.
I'm totally vaccinated. I don't feel the need to have to wear a mask anymore.
We will be wearing our masks today. It's too early to decide what to do.
Monday, a federal judge in Florida appointed by former President Trump ruled the CDC had overstepped its authority by requiring masks on aircraft and public transit. Some major carriers quickly pivoted to mask optional policies, announcing the changes mid-flight.
We're ready to give them up. So thank you and happy Unmasking Day.
Refusal to wear masks was at the root of thousands of disruptions on planes during the pandemic.
The conflicts that might come up will be where I'm sitting next to somebody who's wearing a mask and I'm not, and them asking me to wear one because I'm sitting next to them. We may have a few more fights to deal with before this is all over.
The ruling leaves it up to airlines, airports, and mass transit systems to make their own decisions about mask requirements. Here at LaGuardia, masks are still required in the terminal. Uber ended its mask policy for drivers and riders, but New York City's public transit system plans to keep the mask requirement in place. The CDC had extended the mandate until May 3rd due to rising cases from the Omicron subvariant BA2.
I am concerned that we just don't have quite enough information yet, and another 2 weeks was really the appropriate cautious approach here.
The Justice Department is reviewing the ruling, and masks are still required aboard the president's plane, Air Force One. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Experts also point out airplanes generally have better air circulation systems than trains or subways. Projects funded by the $1 trillion infrastructure law are getting some new guidelines. The White House will require any construction materials be made in the United States. That new mandate goes into effect May 14th. However, in some cases, if materials are in short supply or considered too expensive domestically, the rule can still be waived. The Pentagon estimates Russia has sent 11 more battalion tactical groups into eastern Ukraine as they ramp up another offensive. That would equate to about 8,000 to 11,000 more soldiers there. This comes as the Kremlin confirms it's trying to capture control of eastern Ukraine. Russia's launched at least 1,200 missile and rocket strikes just on that side of the country recently. And the U.S. defense officials believe a larger ground battle is still to come.
The intense concentration of forces and firepower makes this battle inevitably more violent, bloody, and destructive.
U.S. military experts say Russia's goal is to capture at least the Donbas region, where fighting's been underway for 8 years, as well as the besieged city of Mariupol. Though Russia says it will enact a ceasefire to allow soldiers to leave, Ukrainians are still fighting. They're not giving up those regions. President Biden spoke with allies this morning about the next steps, including continued security assistance. Just this week, American artillery started to arrive in Ukraine. The U.S. is also working on a new round of economic sanctions on Russia, which could come this week. While the world has its eyes on Ukraine, tensions are also escalating in Israel. Palestinian militants fired a rocket into Israel overnight. Today, Israel's launching its own air strikes on Gaza, the first in months. This all follows several days of fighting between Palestinians and Israeli police at a holy site in Jerusalem. Chris Van Cleve has the latest.
Airstrikes light up the night sky over the Gaza Strip as tensions mount. The Israeli military says it was targeting a weapons manufacturing site belonging to Hamas and comes in response to a rocket fired into southern Israel. No injuries were reported. Violence has been escalating since Friday. Clashes between Palestinians and Israeli police have centered around the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, which is also the site of an ancient Jewish temple. It's the third most sacred site in Islam and the holiest for Jews. Sunday, police entered the compound to arrest Palestinians barricaded inside and blocked Muslim access to allow Jews and tourists to pray. The unrest comes at a rare convergence of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, Easter, and Passover, coupled with the first chance for crowds to gather at the holy site since the pandemic. The violence is prompting, quote, deep concern from the State Department.
We, as we did on Friday, continue to call on all sides to exercise restraint, to avoid provocative actions and rhetoric, and preserve the historic status quo on the Haram al-Sharif Temple Mount. We also continue to urge Israeli and Palestinian officials to work cooperatively to lower tensions and ensure the safety of everyone.
Clashes at the same site last May prompted an 11-day war, killing more than 200 before ending in a ceasefire. Now, a series of Palestinian attacks inside Israel have killed 14 in recent weeks, prompting Israeli raids in the West Bank, where at least 26 Palestinians have died. The State Department says U.S. diplomats have been in touch with their counterparts in the region trying to calm tensions. The United Nations Security Council is holding a closed-door meeting focused on the spike in violence. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, London.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government announced today it'll ban foreign investors from buying homes in Canada for 2 years, trying to cool off their hot housing market. The government will also implement higher taxes for people who sell their house within a year. Both measures include multiple exceptions, including for permanent residents and foreign students. Canada's budget also includes billions for new housing and measures to help Canadians trying to get into the housing market, including a new savings account and changes to the first-time home buyers tax credit. The